Hey everyone, welcome to M2F Story. Today I am going to share with you Husband Use Wife Lipstick Part 2. Richard muttered real low. Yes, I understand. Loretta said, I can't hear you. Speak up and speak clearly. Richard answered, Yes, I understand. Loretta told him it was good and started spraying some sort of foam all over his body from the neck down. She told him to stand there until she told him he could take a shower. She looked at her watch and left. She went back to the living room and talked to Susan. They were having such a good conversation that she forgot about Richard for 20 minutes. She called up to him that he could take a shower now. He was glad that he could finally get into the shower because he stung all over. He was amazed when all his body hair washed off. He was in the shower about 10 minutes when he heard Loretta tell him to get out. The shower felt so good he hated to get out but got out right away. Loretta got some lotion out of the cabinet and started to rub it all over Richard. He smelled the flowery odor and thought it smells good, but he was a man and not supposed to smell that way. She told him to follow her and led him into the spare bedroom. She grabbed a pair of panties out of a bag and made him step into them. Richard asked, What are you going to do with me? Loretta answered, You'll see soon enough. You can call an end to this right now. Susan made me promise to stop any time you said, and you can leave just like you are then. Do you want to leave in just your panties? Richard said, No, I don't. She handed him a girdle to put on and smirked as he pulled the tight garment on. When he got it on, she helped him put some black nylons on, hooking them under the panties, explaining that it would be easier to go to the bathroom that way. When he said that the girdle was too tight, she said, If you don't like that, I can come back tomorrow night with a corset that will make the girdle feel like heaven to you. Richard said no, it would be all right. She helped him put on the long-line black bra. After that, she slid the petticoat over his head. He noticed it was short and stood straight out from his hips. Then she slipped the maid's dress over his head and zipped the back up. It was tight on him and left a lot of cleavage showing. Richard asked, Can't we talk about this? Isn't there another way we can solve this? Loretta answered, You are wearing lipstick that you put on. What do you have on that doesn't go with lipstick? Susan wanted a maid and you didn't. Well, now she is going to get her wish. You better be the best maid a person can have, do you understand? Richard replied, I know everything goes with lipstick, but aren't you getting carried away with this? Loretta retorted, No, I am not getting carried away with this. It is time for my sister to see what a sissy she married and get her wish for a maid. Granted all in one swoop. Now, are you going to be a good maid? Richard replied, Yes, I guess I don't have a choice. Loretta said, You have a choice. You can be a maid or there's the door. You are dressed enough that you won't be arrested from indecent exposure. Do you want to leave or complete the process? Richard decided to complete the process. Loretta grabbed a shoebox and knelt down to put them on Richard's feet. He looked at the heels and gasped. Loretta looked at him and said, The 5-inch heel was the shortest I could get in this style. See this ankle strap? It locks on the foot, so you need a key to take them off. I'll have a key and I'll give Susan a key to this and your chastity. Belt. Now walk around the room to get used to them. Richard walked unsteadily around the room. Loretta told him to put one foot in front of the other. He did, and his walking improved. Loretta said, I could have gotten 6 or 7-inch heels in that style, but got the 5s. Aren't you going to thank me? Richard swallowed what pride he had left and said, Thank you, Loretta. I appreciate it. Seeing him walk without any problems, Loretta took him in the bathroom and applied blush and eyeshadow to him, showing him how to apply them. She then wiped it off and had him apply it. After the second try, she decided it wasn't perfect, but it was passable. She then put a blonde wig on him over his crew cut. She told him she couldn't wait for his hair to grow out so she could take him to a beauty parlor. Richard shuddered at the thought. Lastly, she put false fingernails on him. They were a red that matched his lipstick and extended from his fingers close to a 1/2 inch. He looked at them and was amazed at how thin it made his fingers appear. Loretta said, I think you are done. I think you should thank me for all I have done for you. Don't you agree? Richard couldn't believe what he was hearing, but common sense told him otherwise, so he said, Loretta, I want to thank you for all that you have done to me. Loretta said, There's one thing I almost forgot about. We can't keep calling you Richard when you look like that. You need a feminine name. What would you like to be called? Richard responded, I don't know. I never gave something like that a thought. Loretta said, well, I'll pick one. Let's see you look like a French maid, so we'll pick a French-sounding one. How about Monique? Richard replied, I don't know. That doesn't sound right, and I don't think I could get used to it. Loretta came back, well, how about Barbette? Richard said, I guess that would be okay. Loretta said, remember you picked it and you could have stopped all of this at any point. Do you remember? Richard answered, yes, I remember. Loretta then said, now are you going to be the best maid Susan could ever ask for? I want you to give me your word that you will be the beast maid you can be. Richard gave his word, and Loretta knew Richard valued his word to the greatest extent. She told him to wait until she called him, then come down to the living room so his wife could see him. Loretta went down to the living room and said, well, it wasn't easy, but I have a present for you. I want you to be open-minded about this and play along. Okay, Susan said, what did you do to him? Loretta said, you'll see. Give it a couple of days to sink in for my sake, if nothing else. Okay? Susan replied in the affirmative, and Loretta called for him to come down. When he stepped into the living room, Loretta saw Susan's jaw drop. Susan said, who is this? Loretta said, this is Barbette, your new maid. Susan said, well, isn't that convenient? Richard leaves and my new maid arrives. I think I am going to like this. Barbette, get me a drink. Richard started to turn to get the drink, but Loretta stopped him and told him to curtsy to Susan. He turned back towards Susan and gave a small curtsy. Loretta made him repeat it until he was giving an excellent curtsy. She then told him he was to curtsy any time someone gave him an order. He got Susan her drink and, to be on the safe side, gave a curtsy. Susan was starting to enjoy her power. She ordered Barbette to make her a grilled cheese sandwich. Barbette curtsied and went to make the sandwich. Shortly later, she returned with the sandwich. Susan finished the sandwich quickly, realizing that she had had very little to eat that day. She handed him the plate back and told him to clean up the mess. A minute later, he was back in the living room. Susan said, did you clean up the mess like I told you? Barbette answered, yes, I put the frying pan, knife, and plate in the dishwasher. Susan said, I told you to clean up the mess, not put it in the dishwasher. From now on, you will hand wash all the dishes and put on an apron. We don't want you to get spots all over your pretty uniform, do we? Barbette replied, okay, I'll go wash the dishes. He gave a curtsy and left. While he was gone, Loretta gave Susan the 2 keys explaining what they were for. She also gave Susan a couple of ideas of things to get her new maid trained right. Susan felt a lot better than when she arrived home. She was enjoying her new sense of power. Loretta made some small talk for a while, then left. Barbette finished the dishes, took off his apron, and returned to the living room. He asked Susan if there was anything else, and Susan said it was time to go to bed. Up in the bedroom, Susan had him help her undress, then lay out her clothes for tomorrow. She then told him to go wash off his makeup. He went into the bathroom and washed the eyeshadow and blush off and tried again to wash the lipstick off to no avail. He returned to the bedroom and Susan told him to get his keys. He got them and she took them from him. She said, you won't be needing these until you have to go grocery shopping. I am going to lock your male clothes in the closet so you won't be tempted to get them. She finished putting them all in the closet and locked the door. Then she said, a maid don't sleep with the mistress, so let's walk down to your new bedroom. They walked to the bedroom, and when they got there, Susan said, what a beautiful room. Look at the bedspread with the lace edging. What a pretty pink. Look at the beautiful pink curtains, and the lace matches the bedspread. Will you look that picture? I never saw a lace-trimmed frame before, and that picture of at least 50 tubes of lipstick in different colors. I guess that is a good reminder of what got you into this situation in the first place. Let's look in the closet. Will you look at that? There's 2 nightgowns for you to wear. Look at that black maid's dress. Wear that tomorrow. Save the pink one you have on for special occasions. We'll have to take you to get at least 2 more black ones, or maybe a soft blue one and black one, so you have them to wear when one is in the wash. Speaking of wash, tomorrow do the wash, and I want everything ironed and put away. Also vacuum all the carpeting in the house and scrub the kitchen floor. That should be enough to keep you busy until I get home. If you have any problems, call me at work, understand? Richard answered, yes, I understand. Susan said, you can serve me breakfast in bed at 7. Toast and juice will be fine. Make sure you have your makeup on and are ready to get to work before you bring it. I expect you to be presentable any time you are in my presence. Any questions? Richard said, just one. How long do I have to be a maid before we can change back to how things were before? Susan said, your lipstick is supposed to be permanent. That's why they call it tattoo. I guess you will be a maid until it wears off and you get everything else off, including your chastity belt. Oh, yes, Loretta told about that. Don't expect me to unlock it soon. A maid don't need any relief down there. Now get ready for bed and sleep tight. She left, and Richard took the dress, petticoat, and bra off. Then he realized that the shoes were locked on his feet. He went to his wife's bedroom and asked her to unlock them. She told him to keep them on so his feet would get used to the angle of the sole, and it would save him time in the morning. He returned to his room and put a nightgown on. He realized Susan didn't have any that were as lacy as this one. He got in bed and was soon asleep. He surprised himself waking up at 6 a.m. He laid there and thought he had had a bad dream, then realized Susan wasn't laying beside him. He sat up and immediately felt the high heels when they hit the floor. The sleepiness left, and he got up and went to the kitchen and started coffee. He then went to the bathroom. He saw himself in the mirror and realized this was real. He sat down and did his thing, then got up and decided to do his makeup while the coffee was brewing. That finished, he went and had a cup of coffee. He left his cup on the table and went up to his room and got dressed. Last night, he hadn't noticed how his skirt stuck out, but today he noticed it. He had to go to the bathroom again and went in to take care of it. When he was finished, he noticed in the mirror some of his wig was askew. He took a brush and brushed it out, finally satisfied that it looked okay. He returned to the kitchen and poured another cup of coffee and noticed he had 10 minutes to get breakfast to Susan. He started to get everything ready. That's it for today. Hope you have enjoyed it. If you do, then be sure to subscribe for more story like this. See ya.